Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. I'm sorry I missed last week. I had a bit of a week off, but I am full steam ahead with the up and coming week. Welcome to SusyBLiving's Moonphase Gardening series. So I am going to cover this next week, Monday the 8th of January to Sunday the 14th of January. So Monday the 8th of January and Tuesday the 9th of January are both Leaves Day on the Moonphase calendar. And if you have been following me and watching my Moonphase gardening series, you'll see that I always have a lot to do on Leaves Days. And because we are self-sufficient in salad leaves and, well, cooking leaves as well, I suppose, it's one thing that I actually always make sure that I add to my food, I suppose. I always like green, you see. Whenever I have a plate of food, I always think, well, where's the green? And it's usually some kind of leaf. Anyhow, so let's start. So let's start with my little program of what I do. The first thing is my sowing. On Moonphase calendar days, the most important thing for me is sowing, because I find that out of everything to do with Moonphase gardening, sowing is the most important because then I get proper germination. So, okay, I am going to sow some tatsoi. And I am going to sow 20 little modules of tatsoi. And that is because I need it to follow on from the tatsoi that I have in my veggie pods at the moment. They're quite nice, they're very small. I've got the ones that I'm using at the moment are in my raised beds here at home in the kitchen garden. And they're starting to dwindle now. I've been using those a lot. Then the ones in the veggie pot are going to take over, and then I am going to sow another 20 on Monday, tomorrow, and that will then take over from the ones in the veggie pot. I'm also going to start doing some kales again. I did some experimental kales in December, and they are out in my big greenhouse, but I'll talk about those when I talk about transplanting. So what I will do is I am going to plant 9 of each of these varieties. So I'm going to do the dwarf green curly kale. I find that this kale is the best kale for this time of year. It doesn't go to seed. So it's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to do 9 of those. I'm going to also do 9 of a kale called Reflex. It is an F1 and I find that it works really well. You get lots of leaves on it and it is a great kale as well. So 9 of those. I'm doing 9 scarlet kale. Scarlet kale does want to go to seed, but if you sow it this time of year and then also sow in February, you probably will be okay with scarlet kale. I found that when I did my sowings this time last year, I got quite a lot of scarlet kale. So I'm going to do 9 of those. The one that I'm experimenting with at the moment that I'm going to do 9 of is called Pentland Brig. It's one of my favorite kales and I'm just doing a little experiment. I did it in December and now I'm doing it again now at the beginning of January. And that is purely for me because I want to see how early I can sow this kale without it going to seed. A lot of the time when I do my sowings and I sow kind of the same thing every month, it's because I'm experimenting for myself to, like I said, to see how early I can put this in without it actually going to seed. In the UK, we have, in my opinion, we have quite a short growing season for summer. And these are, even though these are cool winter plants, cool loving plants, I'm always experimenting to see when is the best time to get the best yield from these plants. So that's all of those kales. The other kale I'm going to add to the mix is a kale called Red Ruble. I'll put a picture up and I'll also put a picture up of the Pentland and the Reflex. so that you can see them. The red ruble I grow for baby leaf, for salads. And I'm going to do 20 of the little modules, and then I just put it in a big container. I haven't got any on the go to show you at the moment, but I'll be putting them in a big container, and then I harvest those for little salad leaves. So that's the red ruble. The other thing that I'm going to do for leaves is I am going to sow 2 lots of celery. This celery is to go in my greenhouse over at the allotment and the greenhouse here at home. The first one is the giant red celery. I really like that, and it does really well for me. I'm going to do 12 of those. And the other one that does really well for me is a variety called Utah, tall Utah. And I've got some of that at the moment. I still got it in the garden, would you believe? That's how mild it's been here. And I also have it in the greenhouse in pots. So when that starts to finish, then this succession is going to take over. The last leaf that I'm going to do is I'm going to do another sowing of the green Lolobiondo, Riccia. Let me just get my seeds here. I can see them in front of me, these seeds, and that's pretty easy to kind of get to. It's this one. That's the one that I am going to do another sowing of, because I had quite a lot of unsuccessful plants because of slugs. So I'm going to be doing 20 of those, and that is my leaves days. So transplanting, I have got all those little kale seedlings that I was telling you about, and cabbage seedlings for my experiment. All those little seedlings need to be transplanted now into 9cm pots. I have Asian greens as well, little seedlings. They need to go into 9cm pots. And I've got lettuce seedlings as well to go into 9cm pots. I've also got some very nice hispy cabbage that are about this tall now, and they're ready to go out on the allotment. So I think I've got 8 of those, and I will be planting those on the allotment with the other cabbage in the same bed as the other cabbage, because I've got a net over the top. Weeding and maintenance on leaves days. I'm going to check all my kale beds. I've checked my kale bed. I've got a Cavallonero kale bed at the allotment. It looks great. I'm very happy with it. I don't need to check on that. I checked on it a couple of days ago. But the ones at home here need a little bit of care and attention. So I need to just get into these kale beds. I have some scarlet kale, and I've also got some dwarf curly kale here as well. So I'm going to be doing those. I'll also be checking my Asian greens bed that I told you about. It hasn't been very successful out in the raised bed this time, because we've had such a problem with slugs and snails. I'm going to be ordering some nematodes for slugs very, very soon, because the slug infestation is terrible, and there are those really little ones. So I'll check the Asian greens again, and I'll check any lettuce that I've got dotted around. Watering, no feeding, but watering, I've got some seedlings. So any seedlings that I've got, I will water. And actually thinking about it, I've got some lettuce in some big pots. I might give them a very, very weak seaweed feed. So that's the leaves days. Okay, so now we go to Wednesday the 10th, Thursday the 11th, and Friday the 12th of January. They are all fruits days. So my sowing, yes, I'm sowing fruits. I'm going to continue sowing some chili and pepper plants. The ones that I sowed in December are doing really well. They've all pre-germinated. You know, I pre-germinate them. I showed you. If you want to have a look at the video that I did, how I do my chilies and peppers, where I pre-germinate them all on kitchen towel in a container. Everything's been pre-germinated, and everything is in little compost cells now. So they're all doing really well and ticking along nicely. What I am going to do is I'm going to do another 3 lemon dream. They are a little sweet pepper, a yellow one. And the reason why I'm going to do another 3 is because one of them looks a little bit not great. I was only going to do another 2, but I'll do another 3. The other 2 look good. And this particular sweet pepper doesn't do well with a late sowing. You have to sow it quite early. So that's why I'm doing that one. The other ones that I'm adding to the mix are this one here. This is called Corno Giallo. Now, I mentioned to you that I grow this pepper called Yellow Ringo. You can't get seeds for it anymore, but this is exactly the same. The Yellow Ringo that I tried to pre-germinate, nothing happened. So I'm going to put these in, this fresh seed, and hopefully get some germination there. The next one that I'm going to do that I'm adding as a chili is a peri peri chili. I forgot all about that, so I'm going to do those as well. I'm going to do some Hungarian hot wax because they're really handy chilies. I forgot to put in my Alberto's Locotto. This is the chili that we use for sauce. And one more that I thought I would try, which I haven't tried before, is a proper paprika chili, a pepper. So I will do those. I'm also going to sow another 2 trays of Oregon sugar pod and some sugar snaps. I kind of thought to myself when I sowed 1 tray that they probably I wouldn't have enough because we love them so much. So I'm going to sow another 2 trays. So there's 6 cells per tray and I do 3 seeds per cell. So it's 18 plants. So I'm going to do those. My transplanting, I have my really early peas that I've got in modules in the greenhouse. And they are the meteor pea. So they're a proper podding pea. And they need to now go in big pots. And then I will do like a wigwam system with bamboo canes and they can grow up that. And they're staying in the greenhouse, so I get an early crop. So they need to be transplanted. The other thing that needs to be transplanted is I've got some extra broad bean plants and I'm going to take them over to the allotment because I've lost about 3 on the allotment. And I'm going to transplant those in the spaces where I lost the broad beans. Weeding and maintenance. I'm going to have a look at my fruit trees. So any fruit tree that needs looking at and maybe pruning, I will do. The apple and pear trees can be pruned at this time of year. I was out in the garden that's in the front today because it was Flowers Day today, just having a look at the flower borders. And I have my apple tree in the front garden. I've also got my pear tree in the front garden and it does need a little bit of pruning. So I will do those. The other thing I need to look at is my citrus and give them a little bit of attention. I had my greenhouse, my little greenhouse that my citrus is in, I had the door kept blowing off it and a pane smashed and came off it. And the citrus has had a little bit of a burn on top of it from frost. So I have to do that. Feeding, and that then brings me to feeding because I need to feed my citrus as well. So I will be doing that, and any watering of pots that I need to water like fruit trees. That's what I will be doing on my fruits days. Saturday the 13th of January is an unfavourable day. So that is the day that I get outside now and I just do general weeding, general tidying up, general anything that I need to do, just, you know, nothing specific for specific plants. So if that, you know, I need to take grass away from a certain area, I will do it. And yeah, that's what I do on an unfavourable day. And then Sunday, the 14th, is another Flowers Day. And so for flowers, if you want, you can sow some sweet peas. And that's, you know, you can still sow sweet peas. It's not late to sow sweet peas. Now, I pre-germinate my sweet peas like I do with my peppers and my chillies. The only difference is when I put them on the kitchen towel and I wet them, I then put kitchen towel over the top and I wet that. So they're kind of wedged in a blanket system. I did those today actually. So I've put my sweet peas in now. You can sow those, no problem. My next lot of flowering brassicas, I am going to be sowing at the beginning of February. So I don't have any brassicas to sow like calabrese or cauliflowers because mine are doing really well. They're actually inside now. I need them to get a bit of a wriggle on, which brings me to transplanting. So if these brassicas in here that I've got, the cauliflowers and the calabrese are looking good and have started to fill their pots, then they are going to go over to the allotment as well. I've got a feeling they probably won't. I might have to wait till the next flowers day, but I will keep an eye on all now I've got quite a few graffiti cauliflowers, which are the purple ones, and also the marathon calabrese or broccoli. And I've got quite a few. I've got a tray of each, one out in the greenhouse, one in here of each, and they're doing really well. But I need them to just get a little bit of a move on so I can get them out onto the allotment. That's flowers, weeding and maintenance. Well, that's what I was doing today. So anything for when I do flowers, because I do ornamental and I also do edible, I work it that for me, the ornamental is anything that is flowering now, I tend to first. So today I was doing all of my area where I've got my early bulbs coming up. So hyacinths, those little iris reticulatas, all of that in the garden, where I've got it in the garden. I was weeding all around that area. My hellebore area, I weeded all around that area. Took all the leaves off the hellebores so that they can get going as well. What else did I do? I've got daphnes in the garden, so I weeded all around that area. So anything that is flowering or that is going to flower this month, I tend to first. Always on Flowers Day, because you can always just check whether there's any problems, any pests, any diseases, and that's what I always do. And then for feeding and watering, there's really nothing. I've got some narcissus here inside. I'll have a look at those and might give them a little bit of a water, but that is all. And I just want to show you this beautiful spring bouquet. Isn't it gorgeous? I got this from Aldi. I think it was £1.50. Unbelievable. Just gorgeous. That's it. Okay, so that's your week. That is Monday the 8th of January to Sunday the 14th of January. That is your Moonphase gardening calendar for the week, and a few little jobs to do for the week as well. You don't have to do them all. I probably won't do them all, but it's always nice to have some kind of structure, and I hope that the weather's nice with you. We're hopefully getting a dry week. It's cold, but I don't really care as long as it doesn't rain anymore. I'm a little bit sick of the rain, and that's about it. So if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, because every Sunday night I bring out my Moonphase gardening series for the next week, and it just keeps us on track. All right, I'll see you later. I'm SusyBLiving. Bye.